turn base, turn final, put the gear handle down, nothing happens, duh, electrical system broken. You can fix this in post. Hi, my name's Dave Young. I'm a old freight dog from the 1990s. I flew with an outfit called Flight Express, which is based out of Orlando. They had at one time about 60 or 70, mostly Cessna 210s, and a smattering of old Pipers and a Mooney and a couple Barons. We were all fighting and clawing our way up to get into the Barons to get some multi-time because we thought we were headed for the airlines. But things were moving so sluggishly at that time that few got into the airlines. Anyway, it was an exquisite career of very fun flying. Unlike being many hours of being a flight instructor in the right seat, not touching anything, just carefully coaching through things, I finally got my hands on stuff, and the ball would be in the center. We'd be on heading, we'd be on altitude, and I enjoyed actually flying the airplane. So that part of it was a great deal of fun. The mission was constantly varied, different airplanes, different airports all over Florida, flying bank checks and DHL. You know what DHL stands for?
What's that?
Darned hard liars, don't hold us liable, Dewey, Huey, and Louie, delivered an hour late, etc., etc. DHL baggage guy told me these. Anyway, so you asked me to talk about an incident. It was over Perry, Florida, at about 11,000 feet. My sense was it was late summer. There were thunderstorms everywhere. Just the sky was covered with thunderstorms, but at the time I was VFR conditions, flying around between Thunderhead. Everything's great, and the cockpit goes totally black. The voltage regulator had fried out, and everything electrical just died. This was back before the days of, we had handhelds, but I couldn't afford one. We didn't have GPS anything. We didn't have weather radar anything. It was just seat of your pants kind of flying. So in thinking this stuff through in previous iterations on the ground, okay, how do I for sure stay alive in a situation like this? Total electrical loss of the airplane. The good news is, in a place like Florida, peninsula which sticks out water on all sides, it's turn left or right, go to the nearest ocean, make sure you're about 10 miles offshore, spiral down to 50 feet on the altimeter, then turn around, head back into the coast, and have a plan to turn right or left so you could hit the coastline, although that's extremely difficult to differentiate because there's marsh all along our coastline. It's not condos all lit up with lights and so forth. It's deep, dark, black marsh and hard to distinguish if you're over land or over water. But there are enough smattering of little houses and all along there. With luck, you can find your way along. And we simply don't have any geology that will kill us in Florida. There's nothing higher than 300 feet in the whole damn state. And but there are some antennas that go up to 2,200 feet and so forth. They will kill you. So get back to the coast, turn left or right, and go along till you find a city you recognize, and then kind of dead reckon inland for the airport of your choice. And usually by that time it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Everybody's going home. I remember on that particular night, I found I didn't go offshore. I found a hole between the clouds, and I spiraled down in that hole, and then I followed Highway 1998. I could see enough white lights and red tail lights going along that I followed them to the Perry Airport and came in, turned base, turned final, put the gear handle down. Nothing happens. Duh, electrical system broken. Put it down, get out the checklist, do the checklist procedure for pumping down the gear. Click, it's locked, come in and land, get out of the airplane and kiss the ground. Thankful. Once again, the training and emergency procedures saved the day. The next story that comes to mind, I had graduated to burning kerosene now. I was working for Mountain Air Cargo. The world was divided, the U.S. was divided in half at the Mississippi River. East of Mississippi was Mountain Air Cargo. West was Presidential Airways or some other company that had all of the caravans all the way to the Mississippi. Mountain was based in Concord, North Carolina. So I've got a caravan, and on Friday nights, we had 2 airplanes based at the airport, but on Friday nights, we had a coin flip of, we only had 1 aircraft full of stuff to take from little Albany, Georgia, up to Atlanta Hartsfield. And that was fun. Every night, flying by yourself in those little slow airplanes, mixing in with the giant conga lines of all these huge airplanes from all over the world coming in and landing. And the controllers would keep your speed up. Can't you go faster than 130? Wide open, downhill, maybe a little, sort of. And barely keeping fast enough that another airliner eating up your ass. And then the controller says, can you make the first turn off? So fine, throttle back, land, get the flaps up, get on the brakes, make the first turn off. Yeah, big old jet comes behind you. All right, got it. Let's go in. So that was a typical run. And somebody with a better memory will know when this was. Hurricane Andrew had just come through and hit South Florida and devastated Miami, below Miami. And then across Florida, it went up into the Gulf of Mexico and spun up a little bit. Then it went up and hit somewhere around Louisiana, Alabama, and it hooked a right up through Atlanta area. The storm itself was mostly past Atlanta, and there was just 1 spiral band between me and the Atlanta airport, and we had a wee little bitty radar on the wing of the airplane. I think the dish is like 8 inches. Well, in radar theory, the smaller the dish, the less energy you're putting out, and the broader the beam. And so it was the equivalent of leaning out the window with a flashlight and looking for the hurricane to see if you can see the thunderstorm. It was a small display and a very weak display, and I saw the spiral band between me and Hartsfield. And I thought, might be a good deal of fun if I go between that guy and that guy. They look, 10 miles apart.
Yeah.
You're supposed to do them 20 miles apart. Well, what they teach you in classroom and the reality you get handed out in the real world are 2 different things. So I was like, that doesn't look too bad. And so I was headed in between it. And when I found out years later, either the air is going up and up and up on either side of this gap and then coming down, down, down in between the gap. That's right, where there's a gap there. Or there's one building like a madman, and it hasn't condensed enough moisture yet to show up on radar. But nevertheless, the 4,800 feet per minute elevator is still going up like crazy. So I'm flying along, fat, dumb, and happy, and hit that thing, and it was Katie bar the door, oh Lordy Jesus, slammed, whammed, the classic rat caught in a terrier's mouth. I do remember my flight case went up and hit the ceiling. Junk went everywhere, every bit of dust and pencils and stuff in the airplane flying up. Now, I've read about turbulence like this, other pilots, and glass gets broken, and glass on the windshields, and spars are cracked, and wings are bent and stuff. It wasn't that bad, but for me, it was certainly the most exciting e-ride I've ever been on.
Yeah.
And I've taken some firearms training, and the combat instructors will tell you, in a real gunfight, time slows down. And you have increased alertness, increased awareness, and things are moving almost in slow motion. You feel like I got plenty of time to get stuff done. But here, the part they didn't tell you was, no matter what I did, it didn't change anything. I'm going straight up and waggling the controls, and the airplane just did what the storm wanted to do to it. I have no idea what attitudes I was in. I really don't. Airplane is just all over the sky. I felt like tumbling like a leaf in a stream, to use another metaphor. And truly, for about it felt like a week and a half, but it was probably about 7 seconds. And for that brief space of time, nothing I did to the controls or anything mattered. And then I spat out the other side, more or less upright, got the airplane in control, and Atlanta Center called, and I have a normal voice like this, but I couldn't even answer them. The octave level of my voice was so high. Flight Express 605, Mountain 342, what are you doing? You okay out there? Because I was off, way high, way low, off the track. I'm okay. Just get me on the ground.
Yeah.
All your braveness disappears, all your bravado, all your courage out the window. Anyway, circumstances like that, I'm glad I did it. I'm glad it's over, and it gave me experience later when I was flying the governors of Florida. I could turn to him with some degree of certainty and say, no, sir, we're not going to fly through that. Well, here's the keys. You can fly the airplane. I'm not going to fly through that.
Yeah.
Now, I have not been shot at that I know of in airplanes, and there's much braver guys than I am walking out of here who were shot at in combat. And that's 10 times the story, that I've got. But still, beware of weather. Learn about weather as much as you can on the ground. Fly with an older, wiser, experienced pilot, and take weather a little bitty nibbles at a time. Fly through that little fluffy cloud over there and go out the other side. Okay, that wasn't too bad. And then let one build up to about 5,000 feet and fly through that. And then let one build up to about 12,000 feet. And you'll see the energy level and the strength level and the turbulence level is increasing with the taller and taller and taller clouds that you get. That way, with an experienced pilot holding your hands, you can learn what I can handle and what I don't want to handle. And I can't recommend that training and experience enough. Unfortunately, in our days, was here's the keys, there's the airplane, there's the cargo. Let us know when you get there, fill in your times, and then do it all again to the next airport. And you do that 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times a night.
Wow.
Again, to actually have the airplane all mine, nobody to tell me what to do, and years of experience as a flight instructor teaching the basics, then the basics get pretty well ground in, and you know how to fly the airplane and run emergencies and run the checklist, so forth. So that's an ideal way it's a semi-ideal way to learn it. If at all possible, get one of these 28,000-hour old guys to sit there and learn it that way, rather than by trial and error, because there's a whole lot of dead guys out there who flew in those thunderstorms and they didn't come out the backside.
Yeah.
Lessons learned.
Cut.